Things the same-ish.
Here. I'm gonna hit right click and play, and then zoom back on the view, the windows with us. And
okay, cool.
Okay, so then next is the
process. Wait. If you click the lyrics, does it start auto playing on Bandcamp?
No.
Okay.
You can just open it.
Okay. Just checking, so you don't get like things playing at the same time, like.
No, it doesn't do that. It's only the play button. Okay, so final song. Mm-hmm. We're checking the Hellscore version because we have to. And because we've been talking so much about war, the process of dying. I can't.
Ah. How to end an album. Ah.
I feel like Eight Lives Down has been doing weird shit and disjointed and uncomfortable shit. And so many people have assumed that that's because you can't or don't know how to make something that's just directly emotionally impactful and clear.
Yeah.
And this song is a slap in the face to all of them. Holy fucking wow. I can't handle that.
Yeah. Yay.
That was insane. I have no words.
If it was a different song, I'd be like, isn't it great? But given the song, I'm like, isn't it miserable? but isn't it great?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's my new favorite song with you on it.
Yay!
That was insane.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take a while to fully regain mental coherence. So until then, I'm just gonna lead with a simple question. Can you translate to me the stuff that aren't in English?
Yeah.
The Latin and the Greek.
The Latin. Oh God. Okay. I'm like,
if you don't know the exact translation, just like give me the ABCs of what the verse says.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So, wait. The Lacrimosa is the section of a requiem. That's the weeping section. So your Latin there, like your text is literally the exact text of the Lacrimosa section of a requiem. Mm-hmm. Your translation of it is something down the lines of full of tears will be that day when the ashes will rise and the guilty man will be judged. Therefore spare him God, merciful Jesus, and grant them rest. Amen.
Is it? There's a song from Symphony X called The Death of Balance / Lacrimosa, and it has a kind of a somewhat funeral sounding choir at the end, and the lyrics aren't written anywhere. It's always listed as an instrumental track. I think it's the exact same lyrics. I think it's
it should be the exact same. Yeah. Every Lacrimosa should have exactly the same lyrics. As in, every requiem has exactly the same lyrics, and every Lacrimosa section of a requiem will have these lyrics.
I'm sure it starts with Lacrimosa di Esilia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ta-da! Okay. So that's that. That's that chunk. Selected for the stereotypical social societal role that it has in funerals, not for... We're not hoping that Jesus is gonna do anything.
Yeah, it's like almost like the representation of a funeral.
Yeah. And then your Greek stuff, your 3 Greek lines in the ending section is, your first one is just thanatos, which means death. Yeah. Which a part of my brain was like, I hope that some human will like see it written down, not be able to read Greek letters and hear thanatos and be like, I know this word. Same with phobia. Like when you're just looking at the lyrics and like, what is going on? And then you hear the word phobia and you're like, I can handle this. This level of Greek, I can compute. So
I can also compute Erinies at the very end. That's from Greek mythology, and it's some female characters that...
We'll talk about it.
I don't remember exactly what they were. I have to remember what they were. We'll get there.
So your next line is Itania Pitas. It's ancient Greek. So if you turn around to any Greek and you're like, yo, they'll be like, what the hell is wrong with you? But every Greek knows this line. It's what the Spartans would say when they'd send their sons off to war. And it's either with it or on it, which means you either return with your shield, meaning you return victorious, or you die in the process. Which is a great way to treat your child, but whatever. But that's what that is. And then, your last thing is the Erinies, which in English, if humans want to Google it, are the Furies. The Furies are these deities, usually conceived as being female, that come and haunt you and basically scream at your face. They are basically the embodiment of regret.
Wow. Fucking wow.
And they will haunt you until you have resolved the issue, whatever that issue may be. So in the part of the irrelevant, and feel free to edit this out, but part of the tragedy of Orestis's story is that Orestis' mother, Clytemnestra, murders his father, Agamemnon. She murders him. Therefore, because of the familial structures and assumptions in ancient Greek society, Orestes has an obligation to his father to avenge him. So he has to kill his mother. So he is haunted by Furies all his life. And eventually he returns and he murders his mother, Clytemnestra. This is the famous play Electra by Sophocles. Electra is Orestes' sister. Whatever. So Orestes comes back, murders Clytemnestra, his mother. But then, so the Furies go away because he avenged Agamemnon, but the Furies come back because he has now committed the wrong of murdering his mother. And so Orestes now has to travel all the way down to Attiki and find Athena and Ares and ask for the gods to consider his case a special case. And this is where you get the whole triple play of Orestia, which is the mythology, if you will, of the birth of the first court of law created by the gods in order to find justice in a very complex situation. Yay!
Wow.
This song is not relevant to Orestes.
Okay. Brain attempts to process.
Sorry.
It's okay. I like this stuff. They just overwhelm me.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go through some lyrics.
Yeah.
Thoughtless forms digging their claws in, measuring every move, every breath. Soulless eyes stare down my carcass, peering into the abyss of my flesh. I feel like this is already the image of a kind of like a funeral as seen through the dead person's eyes.
Yeah.
And then you switch into a description of basically meat-on-meat combat. So it's like you're flashing back, or why?
So the song is called The Process of Dying. So even when we get to the end and the whole screaming of the Furies, etc., death has not quite been achieved yet in the song. So the person is still alive. Like they're just on the verge of dying, but they're still alive. Ta-da! Beautiful. Context. My father died during this album. This was written when he was still alive. Hi. So,
how certain were you that he doesn't have long left?
So what had happened is I wrote this song. I wrote all the lyrics, all of them, I don't know how long it was. It felt like 3 minutes. I wrote everything in one go and I didn't edit a single word. I did not touch it. Like, that's the way it was written. That is the draft. That's the way the song is.
Holy shit.
I wrote it exactly like this. And I did nothing. I wrote it when, so the pandemic was ongoing. Everything was locked down, and my father during the pandemic got diagnosed with cancer, and had to start getting chemotherapy and all of that during the pandemic, which was a very weird process because, of course, the hospitals were overwhelmed and unable to deal with what was happening in reality. And what happened is they told us that it was going well, and they kept telling us that it was going well. And then suddenly they called us and they were like, he's definitely going to die, and he is probably going to die any minute. And we're like, wait, what do you mean any minute? And they're like, well, he could die tomorrow. He could die in a month if you're lucky. And we're like, okay, great. For context, it was bad and it was shitty and it was horrifying. But I already knew he was going to die, and I had already had conversations specifically with my sister, because I was living with my sister at the time, telling her that he will die. Number one, because he has a very bad cancer, stage 4 aggressive, found completely by chance. He will die because there's a global pandemic. So there's no way we can get any appropriate care or any type of care that would be needed for this. The environment cannot provide the level of support that would be needed to make it through something like this. He's at an older age. He wasn't very old, but he was in his mid-70s. And cancers are this beautiful, beautiful thing where, first of all, the therapy, chemotherapy, can kill you because it's pretty brutal. And even if it works out, that shit can come back. So he will die. It's just a question of when. So they called us. They were like, he's going to die any minute now. And because my sister has had pneumonia 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah. So my sister has had pneumonia 3 times, and because COVID is a respiratory infection, she was on the list in the UK of like a very high priority person in danger of this shit. So she was on a priority list for COVID vaccinations. Mm-hmm. So she had her COVID vaccine and she was able to fly out, but I hadn't got my vaccine. Mm-hmm. And because I'm relatively young in the global age of humanity, mm-hmm. I was very low down on the list of when I would get a vaccine. And there was no way that I was going to get on a plane and go see an immunosuppressed elderly person mm-hmm. in the middle of a global pandemic. Like, there's no way. So I was like, So I was trying to get vaccinated, mm-hmm. and I was trying to see if they'd put any systems in place for people that might require emergency vaccination mm-hmm. for things like this, where it's like, I was told that he has less than a month. I would like to fly out there, but I don't want to not be vaccinated around an immunosuppressed person who is also dying. Mm-hmm. And what if something magical happens and he lives longer? Yeah. And he dies because of me? Like, no. Yeah. By the way, for context, in terms of like people that are like, oh, but you should like go and see your father and it's okay if he dies of COVID. He lived for more than a year after that. So to anyone who has that opinion, and I only saw him when I was vaccinated because we're sane. But I was in this long process of like having to wake up at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to see if I could get into all the weird like last minute emergency vaccination stuff, and I couldn't. And then I was also on the phone with them, and at some point I just like called them and I'm like, do you have like any emergency thing, anything set in place? And they're like, no, goodbye. And I was like, ugh! And I wrote this song in the park, standing there like a moron, just crying in public, just like so ta-da! Great.
That's so sad.
This
is a very personal story. If you want me to cut anything out of it before... Really?
It's fine. Yeah.
I would never publish something like this about myself.
No, it's totally fine. I think humans need to be more comfortable with the fact that they are human around other humans. So the beginning of the song is the way that I felt. Is the way that I felt for some reason that my father felt about the medical process. So the whole like thoughtless forms digging their claws in, because he had to get like so many examinations and he had to be like prodded and poked by everything, which is totally normal. But and the problem is that the only thing that anyone was interested in was like, the carcass, the flesh aspect. Like no one was interested in, does he want the treatment? Does he want to die? What is the level of suffering? How bad has it got? Like, no concern about any of that. So I was like, okay, so that came out.
Okay.
Then I guess in a way I'm just trying to express, I'm trying to express the struggle of trying to get other humans to help you live, and how different people crash into each other, especially when someone that they love and that they're irrationally emotionally connected to is dying. And suddenly like you get these weird people who you've known your entire life that are like, oh, well, he should have a choice, or he should whatever. Like, no, he should live. And you're like, oh my God. Like, did you talk to him? Did you ask him? Why are we removing agency so much so early? So a lot of that, and a lot of the violence of the attempt to try and remain alive, and the ways in which it kind of kills you on the inside. And both verses are the same in the sense of they map each other. Yeah. So the two bodies crash into each other, two souls crash into each other, meet upon meet, side upon side. They're the same event, because it was always like this up and down. Like it was always like, he's dying. He's any minute now, any minute. Oh, he got a little bit better. He's dying. He's dying. Oh, he got a little bit. He's dying. And you're like, oh my God. So they map each other. And then there's the repetition specifically of the line, and yet they hound, 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 the hellhounds wail in my ears, which is just this idea of the end final result of this is known to everyone involved. Again, it's just a question of when, not what. He will die, just when. So first thing does reference the Furies. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I wanted Greek mythology. My brain went Greek mythology, so because my dad is Greek, and because all of this is happening in the Greek language, so my brain is fundamentally thinking in a very Greek encoded way throughout this album, because that's what's happening in my life. But whatever. So you've got the Furies, you've got the Strings of Fate, because you've got like the Greek, like the Fates, the Mires, and yada, 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 yada. And then the whole idea of like, I mean, regardless of deities and whatever you believe, he's still gonna die. So it's just like a judgment made in condemnation. Like we know the ending of the shit. I don't know. My brain was just screaming, dehumanize the humanize. That's your chorus.
I mean, it's one of those things where it makes sense, but you can't tell how or why.
Yeah.
It belongs there.
Yeah. And, you know, like we could say crap about the whole bullshit beliefs that people hold of, oh, the eyes are the window to the soul. And you're like, you know, and you're like, yeah, when was the last time you looked at them or tried to see anything? Like, fuck off. But then you've got your next verse. It does whatever it does. And then it goes Norse mythology. It went to the Valkyries. I mean, I guess it's still like consistent. I have no idea what the fuck. There are no rings of pain. I Googled it. I don't know what the subconscious was thinking of. I don't know what that is. If someone knows what that is, tell me. I left it there. I was like, hey, I accept what came out of my brain. So that's the way that it is. It goes into the Lacrimosa. The whole idea was to start with like this duck, very doom metal, very slow, very funeral march, to like introduce it at the beginning as like this idea, and this is the hint that belongs in this song. Then go full metal, then come back to that funeral, have the Lacrimosa, like the crying process, because it's this thing where if you're like me and you're lucky, within quotation marks, and you know that the parent is dying, you've been informed that they're dying, you can begin the internal mourning process and the grieving process very, very, very early on. And I had loads of conversations with my father about it. And we were able to discuss his death to whatever extent he was comfortable with and willing to. Without, you know, without doing the whole, so you're definitely dying, tell me about it. Like, not that. Did not do that to him. But yeah, goes into the Requiem section, comes back to this screaming thing, gets more frantic, has all the kind of encoding, the Thanatos. Like literally the just screamed Thanatos is more like this is what it is. Like there's no point in dressing it up and pretending that we're talking about something else or that there's any more depth to it. It just is what it is. The Itania Pitas in my mind relates to this idea of one of the greatest choices, let's say, that a human can make in one's life, especially historically, right? When there were way more wars and people died way younger and way more frequently. But you could choose how you would stand in the face of death. And, you know, are you going to go out kicking and screaming? Are you going to allow it? Embrace it, kind of have this, for lack of a better way, stiff upper lip about it and just be like, okay, whatever. And then it just kind of goes into the loneliness of the experience of what I imagine dying feels like. I imagine it's a very lonely process in a way.
I guess the only way it cannot be lonely if you have other people who know are dying around you.
Yeah.
Which is not exactly cheerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's this weird thing. I do think that the whole I'm nothing but a byproduct, a moving piece of meat, genetically identical and programmed to die, my mortality makes me mundane. In my mind, this is very, 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 very clearly my emotional perspective. I absolutely don't think my father felt that way. I think I returned to my father on the line, suffering my way to the grave, because I'm oddly perspective flipping throughout this whole thing. So as a way to magnify and also mitigate my own suffering through his death. So like by empathizing with what he's going through, I am enhancing my own suffering. And by empathizing what he's going through, I'm also reducing my own suffering of what he's going through. So it's like, it's both things at the same time, but hey, it's a process. Woohoo, yay! I feel so alone in this pool of sameness. I think it's just me invading again. I think it's me not being able to hang on. Like, I feel like the majority of the song is very much more about him, and then suddenly my brain snaps and can't deal with it, and can't deal with the pain of it anymore, and returns to center within myself. Then I go to The Living Hurts, which I think is kind of both of us, inspiration sharp, expiration eternal, for the puns, because apparently when you're in the middle of a park crying like a moron, you make puns about death, because you're like, oh, expiring is like with the breath, etc., but there's also an expiration date. Fantastic jokes. Terrible. I didn't think about it. I'm just saying, I just left everything the way that it was.
But it's also like expiration eternal in the sense of there's no more air left in the body.
Yes. Yeah. And then the whole acknowledging the environment, like the everyone shielding themselves and looking to the walls, which is like, again, if we're imagining this entire song, let's say taking place in a hospital room from beginning to end, it's just this idea that because death is an inevitability and a guarantee for all of us, it is so uncomfortable to look at it really, really for a long period of time and really deeply, that we have a tendency to look away from it and to blank it out. So that's specifically why they're looking at the walls. Instead of just, not caring about it or ignoring it or getting on with other things. It's like, no, it's like paralyzed by the horror, but also blank. And then the runaway, I cannot face my death. I think the I cannot face my death was... the runaway, I feel, is more from me. The I cannot face my death, I think, is a little bit closer to my father. Although I think he oscillated a lot on that. Like, there were times when he was like, ugh, and then times when he was like, oh, this is fine. Like, he changed his opinion a lot, as one would in a constantly moving process. But yeah, and then I had a difficult time. I had a difficult time with this song. I had a difficult time recording it. I had a difficult time writing bits of it, because I wrote all the lyrics. I recorded all the growls, everything. With exactly the rhythm that they have. The only thing that Marcin and Paul changed was that one line at the end of both verses, the judgment made in condemnation, and the judgment made in condemnation, and a one-way road straight to damnation. And the only thing that they changed was they said, oh, we want to do this da-da, da-da, now on the drums and the guitar, so can we shift that line one bar later? And I was like, yeah, sure. But I literally just gave them an empty a cappella version of the song with me screaming my head off. Paul sat down in Rodrigo's living room, wrote the guitar in one go. It was insane. And then the entire song got massively delayed because I had to write the Lacrimosa section. And I knew that I wanted the three voices. I wanted it as a canon. So I wanted, like, I start and then one bar later, the low voice comes in, and a bar later the high voice comes in, which in the version with Hellscore we were able to demonstrate it with humans, which is the way that canons are meant to exist. So you've got sopranos, basses, tenors, and in the version with the band you have me, then Marcin comes in, then Paul comes in, and Rodrigo comes in when he comes in both versions. So it's still like a triple voice thing. But we wanted to highlight that it genuinely is a canon with voices, and it was meant to be with voices when it was composed. It's just that I perceive the bass and the guitar as voices when I listen to music and when I compose. So to me, it was like, but I was like, what if people don't get it? Just, and then I was like, oh, Hellscore. And then what if people don't get it? Oh, I know a choir. I was like, oh my God. So it took me a long time to compose the Lacrimosa section because I am not a classically trained musician, and I'm not trained in composing for three voices that are overlapping and need to overlap the entire time with no dissonance. So it took me a little while to be like, okay, this is how it's gonna go. And I'm also not Catholic. Which means that, like when I write something and I think church, it comes out like from the cradle. Like it comes out like that type of thing, because I'm Orthodox and the music is different. And I was like, but I want a Lacrimosa and it needs to be Catholic. So I wrote that, and that delayed us slightly. But other than that, like if you exclude the Lacrimosa section, like this song was written in minutes. It's insane how quickly this was written. So yeah.
I can't believe this. It comes across as the most theater and planned out and orchestrated song you've ever done.
Yeah.
It comes across like everything was intended, like you've written down a structure and thought of a scene and all of that. Brains are so weird.
Brains are weird, but it's also like the cool benefit of writing kind of long, weird things with the same people. And then it's like, hey, let's write yet another 7-minute song. And like, oh yeah, we know how to do this. So yeah.
The part that came after the Lacrimosa, the return to the initial drum beat, and then the build up into guitar solo, until it leads back to dehumanize. That just completely terminated me. How well that could flow from, because the Lacrimosa sounds very different from the dehumanized part.
Yes.
The way those are connected and how coherent the buildup is for a band that is notoriously, deliberately making incoherent switches in music, it just blows my mind. That's insane.
I know. I think the person who suffered the most in this song was Paul, because I knew that the guitar was the most important instrument out of all of them in this song. Because the guitar was going to do the chords in the beginning, which are done by the choir in the Hellscore version. So the guitar was going to connect the beginning to the Lacrimosa thing. And then the guitar was also going to connect the Lacrimosa into the rest of the song. And because the song was so uncomfortable and miserable for me in terms of its topic, I sent so many messages to Paul, and I would send him like these horrendous things where I'm like, Paul, the solo has to be incredibly simple. Like it has to. You can't do anything too fancy. It has to be painfully simple and plain. And the thing is that, and even at the beginning, like even at the beginning of the song where it's like two chords, it has two chords. Because those are the two chords that the Lacrimosa is going to be based on and sung around, kind of. And even then, I'm like, Paul, you're going to play these two chords, which we've never, ever, ever done, because this is not the way that we work. Because it's always like you do your own part and you do whatever you want and yada yada. Or I compose something and it's like, here you go, make whatever changes you want to make to this. And vice versa. And it all goes around with everyone and everyone participates in everything. And it's never, you have to play this. But this song is like, you have to play these two chords and you have to. And at some point, like in a rehearsal, Rodrigo, when we were testing it to see if it can function live, it does. But we were testing it and Rodrigo was like, should I speed up the beginning and the Lacrimosa? And I'm like, no. No. I'm like, no, it needs to be slow and uncomfortable. Because if it's comfortable, then it's death. Then you've processed it. The event has ended, you've grieved, and we are talking about death. This is the process of dying. It should be uncomfortably slow. We wish it was faster. So yeah. Oh, horrible.
So you're actually planning to play this live?
We can play it live. As in, it can be played live. Everything we always write and compose can be played live.
Yeah, I've always felt that if you're gonna write something you can't perform live, like that's a bit, I don't know. Songs are made to be played, aren't they?
Who knows? But yeah. Yay!
Okay. So, we've reached the final destination of this journey. Pun intended. This was Fates. And for everyone seeing the Bandcamp page, I'm just saying, there's that link there. Like, make of it what you will. Social pressure. But I am definitely in a weird emotional place right now. I assume so are you.
Of course.
This has been both awesome and terrifying and uncomfortable and all the things it was supposed to be. And I'm really, really happy that you took so much time to rant about everything. I've never done a first listening of an album quite like this. Let's put it that way. So yeah. I hope there are at least some of you out there that sat through all the videos. And thank you very much for watching. And thanks a lot, Aliki, for the time and the rants and the nerding and the openness and everything. Yeah. And thanks, Couscous, for being here and being more fabulous than anyone else in the room. And to y'all for watching, thank you very much for stopping by. And we hope we'll see you back at the Windmill very soon. Corpse is out.